Hi everyone, I'm Liza. I've snuck into this very special secret garden so I could share a story with you. I love writing stories about animals, dogs, cats, just anything. And today I have a very special animal story called The Garden That Love Built. At the age of 35, Stacy had given in to the reality of life. She learned to take comfort in the small things, tucking away that stuff that hurt the most. She'd not had a pet for over 5 years, and her landlord had a strict no animal policy. Stacy sometimes thought about moving, but she felt safe in her tiny house. She found some comfort borrowing her neighbor's dog, Trapper, from time to time. He loved to play fetch, and she loved his undivided attention. Stacy normally drove to and from work on the same stretch of road, but heavy traffic from an accident steered her towards a side street. Before she got to the first neighborhood stop sign, she noticed a small dog balled up in the gutter. She pulled over to try to help him, but she was too late. He'd passed away from his injuries, and the helplessness of it all left Stacy soul-searching. She didn't want to leave him there, so she bundled him in her jacket and put him on the passenger seat. She told him how sorry she was that she didn't get him help in time, but she promised him a beautiful place to rest in her yard. When Stacy got home, she dug a small hole in a barren patch of her garden. Well, the whole thing was barren except for one cactus that she'd not managed to kill yet. She did, however, pick a really beautiful spot that the midday sun would shine on. She named her friend Bernie after a childhood pet, wrapped him in a soft piece of blanket, and placed him in the ground. The next day, Stacy went to her local nursery and bought Bernie a beautiful small crepe myrtle and some bedding plants. She spent her Saturday making Bernie the perfect spot, while her neighbor's dog romped in the dirt. It was a beautifully sad day. 2 weeks later, while on a walk, Stacy found a neighborhood stray cat that'd been attacked by a dog. She took Mr. Mittens home and found him a barren spot in her garden. She thought he'd like a catnip plant and some dandelions. Within a year's time, Stacy had found over a dozen animals on the street. She found comfort in taking them home and offering them a peaceful resting place. She gave them all names and bought each one their own special plants. Stacy may have been considered broken by some. She used to be a high-end accountant at a huge financial firm. She liked to live the high life and was always out and about. That was until she returned home late one night, and a man hiding in the bushes caught her off guard. She fought with him with all of her might, eventually kicked him in the jewels. He hit the ground like a weight, while Stacy rushed inside the house. She dialed 911 while she heard the man cursing in her front yard. He swore he'd be back one day to finish the job. He eventually limped off into the dark of night. The very next day, Stacy hired a company to pack up all of her belongings. She moved to a small house on the outskirts of town. She quit her high-end job and began working as a personal accountant to family and friends. She found peace in her new low-key life, but that fear that he would find her always settled at the edge of her heart. For all the reasons that Stacy lived in fear, she also learned that life can be happy when surrounded by little things. Things like a beautiful garden. She planted one plant, one lost life at a time. She wished to one day have a dog, or a cat even, but she was okay with a garden full of pets. She loved to talk to them on sunny days and would shield their graves with tarps if it rained too much. She told them that she hoped to one day meet them in heaven, and she believed she truly would. Sometimes, when the air was perfectly still in her garden, Stacy could swear she felt fur brush against her leg or a warm tongue against her hand. She knew she was fooling herself, but it was nice to think that her furry ghost friends might really be with her. On the last Saturday of September, Stacy wished her garden good night and settled in to watch a movie. She even popped some popcorn for the occasion. She had on her softest jammies, with her feet up. She heard a tree brush against her window. When she turned to look, a face was staring at her. She jumped to her feet and rushed to the bathroom. It was the man who swore he'd return, she thought to herself as she heard a crash of her window. Stacy's heart whipped wildly as she tried to press 911 on her cell phone. She heard her neighbor's dog barking. All the noise and fear and crazy had Stacy's brain spinning. The 911 operator answered, and in a shaky voice, Stacy tried to ask for help. A man is breaking into my house. Come now, come now. He broke the window. Is he in your house? I don't know. My neighbor's dog's barking. I can hear growls and screaming. Please come quick. Please, God, save me. Stay calm, ma'am. The police are on their way. I will stay on the phone until they get there. The phone line was silent for a few seconds, and the screeches from Stacy's yard grew. She could faintly hear the man screaming for help. She feared the neighbor's dog had gotten out and that he was in trouble. Poor trapper, she thought as the 911 operator confirmed that the police were on her street. Stacy could hear the sirens. That sound that startles some eased her heart. She scooted down on the bathroom floor and put her hands on her head. Thank God. Thank you. Soon, Stacy heard a knock on the door. It was the police, and they were letting her know that she was safe. She put on a robe and went to her front door. When she stepped outside, she realized that her entire porch and most of her front yard was covered in blood. She saw the intruder laying on the ground covered in bite marks and scratches. He was bleeding profusely, and paramedics were arriving to tend to his injuries. The head police officer approached Stacy with some questions. Where's your dog, ma'am? I don't have a dog. I'm not allowed to have pets. She saw her neighbor step outside from all the commotion, and Stacy asked her where Trapper is. Her neighbor said he'd been asleep in bed with them. Stacy was confused. What dog would have attacked this man? What dog would have saved her life? Stacy placed her hands to her side, and at that moment, she felt the softest lick upon her wrist. She looked down, and no one was there. Then she felt fur and a tail brush against her leg. There are those mysteries that have no explanation. However, Stacy knew she was saved by her garden.